we are discussing, openly discussing, not only me asking questions, but we're going to have a discussion here around recruiting in and to Malta, but also the employing in Malta, opportunities and challenges. And I am a person who loves to focus on the opportunities rather than the negatives. So let's see what we can get out of this today. Do we have a timekeeper, actually? I'm a non-watch-wearing person, and I'm already so late in my agenda, so I might need someone to ping me when it's 10 minutes left. I think a good way of starting this conversation is basically where we are now, all right? What's happening in the world, what's happening in the gaming industry. Most of you would know that I left the operational industry and come on in October last year. So I'm totally non-biased. I'm not a competitor. I'm just the driver of the topics that we're talking about. But so what we see is basically the great resignation, the big quit. We all heard about it. And obviously data is mostly coming from US, record month by record month. People are resigning, 4 million people in August. 3% of the workforce left their jobs in US. And this is obviously spreading throughout the world. What's happening in Malta? But again, Ilya shared with us a few days ago in this group the EY report from October, who says that gaming, as Ivan says, is extremely resilient to this. Gaming 2020 actually grew 12% in recruitment. So I'm confused. Is this just a super turnover? Is it changes in skills that we're looking for? What is it that we're looking for? And Mari, you're a very analytical person and you like these discussions.
I thought you'd pick on me.
Yes. Can we hear Mari really well?
Yes.
Good.
My voice just doesn't carry. So
make sure it carries.
I have to shout louder, exactly.
Tell us, what comes to mind when I bring this up?
Well, last year when we were working on our people strategy, we were actually forecasting greater turnovers than we actually experienced. Because of what was happening around us in the world, we thought a lot more people would leave. In parallel to that, we also worked on a people strategy that would sort of retain our employees and without giving them sort of or opening the door for them to actually exit. Mm-hmm. We did see a little bit of an increase in movement, but last year we also had what I would say as an unhealthy turnover. It was very low. So our experience at Hero wasn't, we haven't experienced, at least yet, this tsunami turnover. Yeah. The industry, the business wasn't affected operationally, or our revenues, we've experienced growth. And that is where I see we have experienced an increase in recruitment, an increase in roles. So for us, it wasn't a matter of replacing people who left. Mm. It was a matter of us needing the talent to support the growth that we've been experiencing and the growth that we would like to see happening in the next months and year. Mm.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into that, exactly what it is that you're looking for as well. But what about you, Ryan?
I mean, in my opinion, what makes the gaming industry amazing when it comes to retention of employees, and why as well, from a Gamesys group perspective, we didn't really have much of a turnover either, is based on how ready to face those changes and those challenges we are. I think a lot of the companies in the gambling industry are started up as being digital first. We've always boasted about being the online first, and I remember having that conversation when we were back in March 2020, and we wanted to try and start the work from home aspect. We started doing some trials and we were thinking, okay, let's see how this COVID thing turns out. It's probably going to blow over in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks anyway, so it's not going to be something that's going to affect us. Then I remember everyone starting to go, okay, we need to go home now, we need to go home now. And I remember everyone just packing up their stuff, whatever they had, and there was this flurry of panic. and everyone kind of settled in at their homes. I want to obviously congratulate, partly one of the biggest reasons why we've succeeded so much is as well the communications and how we've helped our staff understanding these differences and changes of what is planning on coming. So working from home, what does this mean to your employment? How is the business going? How does this impact you? And giving that reassurance to employees, I feel really helped. And the gambling industry is one of those industries where last year, I would say, looking at who are the main customers within the gambling industry, and there are obviously those people who have disposable income that can stay, and being at home meant that they had more time on their hands, and that's why I would say revenues grew. With revenues growing, you need more staff to make sure that you keep up with that growth that you're experiencing. So from my side, I would say it was just that ability to face those changes, those challenges, and really react positively and keep in close communication with your staff, keeping them reassured. That's what I mean.
Cool. Ilya, as I said, you're new to the industry.
Correct.
And you've been with us for 2 months,
yeah,
6
almost.
weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Yeah, actually 6 weeks. Moved here from Dubai.
Welcome.
UAE. Yeah, appreciate it. But I see a lot of opportunities. It's a beautiful country. It's an amazing landscape for iGaming. So far, I've just received nothing but great support, lots of love from the local leaders, which I highly appreciate. I see a lot of potential. As you know, I spoke to you guys before. And evolution, our product is just been evolving. This pandemic has changed the behavior of the players, where we've seen a lot of players moved from land-based casinos and heading towards more of a digital, moving to online. And that's put a pressure on us here in Malta. And I don't know if many of you know, but Malta for us is important because it's an international languages hub. We operate studios here for European markets, also Asian markets, and different languages. We concentrate, as you know, we have our own studios, we concentrate on game presenters, and this is what we call XYZ generation. What I see at the moment with the current landscape and that borders opening up is that now we see the opportunity actually taking talent from outside. But at the same time, the complexity will happen. We have some nationalities, some language skills, which are actually hard to attract. And as I mentioned to you before, I just came from Holland 2 weeks ago. For us, current challenge that we're facing right now is attracting Dutch to come and work for us here in Malta for our Dutch tables. And this is something which, you know, my goal or the message here, what I want to do is maybe remove the silos and work together to work with other companies and finding the solutions and understanding how we can actually better attract them.
Exactly.
The war for talent is coming, and I want for everybody, you know, that thing that this is going to go away, it's not going to go away. I think it's just going to follow with different markets, and I could see it in the different European markets where we need to be proactive, we need to work together. Don't sit quiet, but voice your concern, and let's work together on solutions. It isn't, I mean, I'm very passionate about this topic, about attracting. As I mentioned to many of you who I met, it's my first time in Malta. I love what I see. I see a lot of potential here. And I think we just need to bring back, to rebrand Malta and to make it great again. Because this is an amazing landscape for young people to come and experience for us, what I call the first job. And us, as employers, we have responsibility in providing that to them. Yeah.
So, but Ilya, I'm going to stay here with you.
Sure.
Coming into gaming in the middle or sort of in the end phases, as we hoping it is now of COVID, where would you sort of, like seeing your background,
Yes.
Where would you sort of not place us, but you know, how can you, comparing to outside the gaming industry, because we all grew so very much into it now, how would you sort of...
I want to bring you my latest challenge when I was in Dubai, just to let you know. So pandemic, what it changed the mindsets of employees, where, you know, during the pandemic, we got stuck. So Dubai was also one of the countries that got locked down. People got stuck with their families, and it changed the mindsets. A lot of people left Dubai because they wanted to be with their families. It's the same thing, the reason why I left. I was actually on the way back home to Spain, because for me, I realized family is important. And we see the same thing in Dubai. A lot of people left. They all went back home. And right now, I think Dubai was struggling with is attracting them back. And I think it's going to be the same here in Malta as well. We're going to see a lot of people basically going to head back home and we'll need to search for new ones, and that's what we need to...
That actually sort of,
Yeah.
the 12% of recruiting
Yeah.
in Malta, that's obviously reflecting, I'm correct in saying it's actually people in Malta being employed into gaming in Malta, or could we also interpret the report saying it's 12% being required into gaming from elsewhere?
I think that 12% is Malta.
So that's
yes.
quite high.
Yes, but as well, you experienced in Dubai, we experienced the same thing in Malta, where a lot of people exited Malta. And I know a lot of us have managed to keep a number of employees working permanently remotely. And for us, we're still experimenting with that. It's still a learning process, you know, how to, I know you're going to be talking about the hybrid approach.
Exactly, the third
later,
panel.
So I won't get into it, but we're still learning through that.
Exactly.
But yes, this now as you say, we need to come together together with Gaming Malta.
Yes.
See Ivan right in front of me to make Malta attractive again.
And we are, and that's what I said. It's a fantastic support that you get here in Malta. You know, being small, is you have this small community, which just makes it great. Dubai is similar. It's it's a small city. You know everybody. But remember, this is something new. We've never experienced this situation before. So this is a challenge, but it's an opportunity. And we have to be agile and able to adapt. We can't just sit like kids.
Actually, on that, because now we have 10 minutes left.
Yeah. Oh,
we could sit here all day. Ivan could sit here with us. And adjusting.
Yeah.
Keeping sort of in tune with keeping Malta as an attractive place, not only for employers and investors, but for our employees. Are we adjusting? And I'm thinking, how are we doing that? Is it changes in benefits and how people live? I'm thinking if Kasuma would have been here, Beatrice Jansson, she would sort of, Svensson, she would share with us, I would ask her to share with us how the 4-day week in August turned out. And since you read all about this in LinkedIn, etc., is that one of the trending? Would you do the same? Like, how are we actually adapting now to being an employee attractive place?
I stand to be corrected, but I think Kazuma implemented the 4-day week in August was more of a reward for all the hard work and the tiring moments that employees went through.
But do you think it could spin further and people interpret it?
I personally think that our industry is still young for that. This is my very personal opinion. You need to keep in mind that for many years, the perception out there, maybe it wasn't the reality within gaming companies, was that people would join gaming. We actually have candidates in interviews telling us this. I want to join gaming because it's relaxed. Yeah, it's not. It's not the case. Yeah. It is so many. We recently had a candidate who actually told us this. But the truth of the situation is, what I feel that we really need to focus on is making flexible working really work. Because, maybe until a few years ago, we say we're flexible with our employees. Maybe we weren't all flexible, or, not all managers were flexible in the right ways. But
got a new meaning.
If we had to be truly flexible, then maybe we wouldn't be here talking about the 4-day week. Yeah. I think it's a bit premature, but it's a personal opinion, and I'm sure there are people in this room who might disagree with me.
I think what's interesting is to keep in mind, not the 4-day week per se, but just the work-life balance that comes. It's pointless having a 4-day week when then you have employees working 10, 12 hours in the day, because then they'll be overworked anyway and you get that turnover, that burnout. It's about the ability of as Maria mentioned, having that good flexible working approach and allowing the individuals to understand, look, you can work these hours, you can work as long as, let's say, the work is done, but we don't want to get people to stress out, burn out too much. I think one of the things that we did see last year, definitely from our side, was the rise in mental health issues and people telling us that they're feeling burnt out, depression, anxiety, and all of those. And I think we just need to make sure that our efforts should always be employee-centric, in that we need to make sure that we don't implement something for the sake of saying, we've got a 4-day week and doing our song and dance about it, which is fantastic to implement, but we need to make sure that that doesn't come to then the detriment of the employees' well-being either.
Do you feel like modern HR was sort of accelerated and pushed further, and now everything is landing, and now we're sort of seeing things with new eyes, implementing new kind of ways of working?
Absolutely, it's adaptation. You have to be agile, and these are new times. These are completely different times. I haven't experienced for the last 15 years of my professional career. I've never seen this before. It's challenging us to actually think outside the box, and not afraid to tackle the challenge. I actually wanted to bring, I just wanted to bring everything what you guys were saying. What I see for Malta, and just with the fresh eyes, I want to bring the idea of an island of innovation. I think this island has a lot of young folks with bright minds, and what we need to rebrand Malta is actually showing to the world that come and experience these innovations of amazing iGaming and bright minds being together on this beautiful island and having that employee experience. And this is what we should also concentrate. I agree. The employee experience, this is must right now, and for the future attractiveness of new talent here.
I think our time is running out. 5 minutes. So over to you guys. What is it that we haven't covered that is super important, that we cannot leave the stage today without having actually mentioned?
All right, well, from my side, just to let you know, so the challenge with Dutch and where I need help is actually, I think we need to spend a bit of branding on Malta as a country itself. I was there 2 weeks on the ground, and the youngsters, maybe that's the Generation Z they call it, they're very, they're smart in the tech, but they might not be exposed to the geography. I'm not sure why, but Malta wasn't the country that they would actually be aware of. And what I noticed, maybe 3 out of 10 would know where Malta is, and the rest wouldn't be there. So it would be my humble request to partner up, I guess, with the government authorities, and think about strategic campaigns for all of us. Because, again, we all work together, we're in the same industry, and we're all going to be going out for the talent, and we need support. We actually need to work together in marketing, not only our jobs, but also as a country itself. And as I said, there's a lot of potential, and we need to bring back the name of Malta as a country itself to where it was.
Because it might sound hard, but it might actually be quicker than having Ivan and MCAST working on teaching locals Dutch.
Definitely, no, definitely. And apart from that, we know that Malta is saturated in terms of talent. How often are we going to keep, moving people around our own companies? We need to be in a position to attract people to Malta. We know that even pre-COVID or pre-grey listing, the challenges that Malta has experienced in the past few months, there were, other aspects that had started making Malta not so much of an attractive destination. High rental prices, the standard of living had increased, and is still increasing, and these are aspects that I think we need support with addressing as a gaming community. So that is definitely something that we need to keep discussing.
Yeah, working on in 2022.
For sure. From my side, I think the most important piece is as well, how do we, the market is very saturated, we are bringing on board people as well that are junior. Obviously, we can't teach people all these languages that you would need, Ilya. But I think from our side, in my humble opinion, one of the things we need to really focus on is how do we help our employees as well. And I know we've got a panel later on this around the learning and development and opportunities of how can you grow from joining the business at the lowest levels, potentially, let's say, entry junior level, and growing. And what challenges, what steps can you put into place that help those employees grow? Because then that limits your need for searching people at that higher level, and that challenge of, as well, oh, this company offered you X, I'm going to offer you X plus 10, and that creates that cannibalism of salaries as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been looking into the salary benchmarking thing together, so that's one thing that we need to sort of flesh through next year as well.
Interesting to see, for sure.
Very, very. Guys, I'm sorry, we have to continue this over dinner tonight. And thank you so much for participating. Ryan, Mari, Ilya.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.